All right. I think we are recording. I see a ... in a little red circle.
Yep. Says recording on my end too.
Yay. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm so excited to share with our listeners, viewers, whoever's out there that needs support right now. We are focusing on moms today. That is a group that I feel like we are all moms ourselves. But we also have superpowers and ways that we help people. So we're just going to go around real quick and introduce ourselves and talk about how we're helping moms right now, and then just throw out some ways that you can kind of help yourself right now. So my name is Casey Van Putten. I am a certified EFT practitioner. My business is Mothering Freely. And what EFT is emotional freedom techniques. It's also known as tapping. And you are literally tapping on a series of acupressure points that calm and relax the brain and the body. And who doesn't need that right now? So we are all in fight, flight, or freeze survival mode right now. Our amygdala has been hijacked. That is why we are stocking up on so much toilet paper and all of the things, is because we are in survival mode, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So what tapping does is it turns off that part of your brain, and it allows you to think clearly and have access to the prefrontal cortex part of your brain that is in charge of having rational thinking and being able to think clearly, which a lot of people just don't have access to that right now. So tapping kind of turns that off. So that's me. Kristen, do you want to go next? I'm just going like this.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Kristin Swert. I'm a licensed social worker, but I do individual and marital therapy. And recently I'm been trained in brain spotting, which is a new kind of type of therapy that comes from, if you've ever heard of EMDR, which is like the rapid eye movement. And it comes from that. And instead of doing the eye movement, you hold the gaze still. Should be certified in that in a couple of months. So it's pretty exciting. But there are things in that you can use to kind of calm the nervous system, and like your body does it for you. So I'm going to talk about some of those today.
Yay. Crystalynn, you're next, whether you like it or not.
Hi guys, I am Crystalynn Godek. My company is Heart Overhead Coaching. So I am a life coach, also an energy coach, I would say as well. So I help really busy moms put themselves on and at the top of their to-do list, which right now that's probably feeling completely impossible to do.
It's a big to-do list right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we should maybe just throw out the to-do list right now.
Chuck it.
Have one goal a day, right?
Yeah.
And so we'll get into that for sure. But the way I work with my clients is, we talk a lot about shifting energy, and we'll talk a little bit about that today as well. But really managing emotions and managing your physical energy, your mental energy. And I do that in a lot of different ways: group coaching, one-on-one coaching, workshops, lots of different things out there for that.
Awesome. And I should say we all met through Indy Mompreneurs. So shout out to Indy Mompreneurs.
Yeah.
So if you're a mama that has a business, like for sure join that group, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, speaking of that, I also meant to mention that I am a mom of two.
We always forget our kids,
right?
We should probably talk about our kids a little bit. So I'm the mom of two boys. I have a 13-year-old boy, and I have a 1.5-year-old boy.
Awesome. Kristen, you have kids too.
Yeah, so I have 3. So my oldest is 11, and actually at the beginning of all this, I kind of sent her to her dad's because it was going to be spring break kind of thing, and she hasn't come back yet, and that was like the beginning of March. So we're struggling with any of that kind of stuff, right? Like kind of separation type stuff. So she's my oldest, and then I have 2, and I have a 5-year-old and one that just turned 4.
Awesome. And I have a 9-year-old, and my son is going to be 7 this month. And so we're going to be celebrating the birthday in quarantine. Yep. So all he's asked for was a ice cream sundae buffet. And so I went, oh my gosh, I felt like I was going to war today when going to Target, first of all.
Yes.
I mean, it was just crazy. I had to do a lot of tapping right before I even stepped into Target, but getting all the ingredients was like a scavenger hunt, because I don't know if you guys have been to the one in Fishers. It's like all crazy right now. And so trying to find like sprinkles and like, the whipped cream and That's all he wanted for his birthday. And then he's going to have a Zoom party with his friends. Like, it's so sad.
Yeah.
To remember though, like,
I know.
That's what we did for my 4-year-old, because she just had her birthday last Wednesday. So she wanted to, we were going to go to French Lick and have this huge tea party in the like big atrium thing. And it was going to be this big, fun, fancy thing. But I just did a tea party at home and kind of did the same thing you did. It's like, okay, well, let's see what we can find. And we'll just have to roll with it, because nobody's got control of anything right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a part of that too is just like, for me, it was like a really like a sadness feeling. But then I also read about these moms that like have, you know, kiddos that are seniors in high school right now, and you just feel for them. There's a lot of grief, I think, going on right now. And at least for this stage, I feel like there's stages of quarantine right now. My kids are kind of over the excitement of it. Like, yay, we're out of school. And they're kind of getting to like, cool, now what do we do now? Like, now it's just kind of like boring. So we're getting a trampoline today. So I'm super excited for that. But yeah, it's just kind of taking every day how it comes. So I'd love to just give some strategies or tools for moms that they can use to kind of either shift their perspective, support a healthy mindset, anything like that. You guys can kind of jump in here. Crystalynn, it sounded like you had some things up your sleeve already that you wanted to kind of chat about.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've been on other calls together and kind of already mentioning this a little bit, but one of the big things that comes up often on the calls that I've been on over the last couple of weeks, where people are already in that self-quarantine, is that people are really just struggling with staying focused on anything. You know, like you said, just being present, like when you're working, being present and distraction free, and not having that mom guilt of, I really want to be playing with my kids, or I should be doing the beautiful stained glass chalk outline that everyone's doing and posting on Facebook, right?
Yes.
It's really hard not to feel guilty not doing that. And then when you are with them, you're still connected and you still have other obligations and responsibilities. And so, you know, really that mental energy, protecting that mental energy right now. And so strategy wise, you know, I guess the strategies that I have are sleep. Sleep is like the number one thing for me specifically all around. And I think that impacts your physical energy, your mental energy, your emotional energy. If you don't have sleep, you're not going to be able to focus. You're not going to have the physical energy to keep up with those kids, because they have it. They have it right now. They are wound up.
And get it where you can too. Like, I took a nap yesterday, and I didn't feel guilty at all. Like, our bodies, because it takes so much, our hormones are like just flooding right now with these survival hormones. And like, that wears you out. You can't, when you go through stress, okay, it's acute stress, your cortisol levels will rise in order to fight, flight, or freeze, right? But we're finding that it's like day 1, day 2, now we're like going on what, like day 17, something crazy like that.
Right.
And your cortisol can't do that for that long. And so you get tired, and then you get the other side of it. And so giving yourself permission, you know, it's okay to be tired, and it's okay to take a nap. Like, it's okay to go to bed at 8 o'clock. It's okay to sleep till 10 o'clock. Like, everything is okay now. You're just following your body, right?
Yes.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
Any other strategies you want to bring forward there?
Well, I mean, one of the things that you just said, I think being kind, it's such a simple thing, right? Like, being kind to yourself. But I've talked to several clients that have said, like, I feel guilty because I took a nap yesterday. I feel like I should be doing something. I'm not, you know, I don't have young kids at home, and, you know, they're with their dad, and I feel like I should be taking advantage of this time and doing all of these things. And I'm not, because I just can't bring myself to accomplish anything, because they are in that grief stage, right? Like, their entire world has shifted. Their environment that they work in is different. Their ability to socialize with their friends like they would is different. Your ability to even just get some physical exercise is limited right now. So of course you would feel like you're not being productive and your energy would be down. I mean, that's just normal.
So if you are not able to go outside and run 5 miles or do yoga, like everyone's posting online, or if you're just feeling tired, like, give yourself that, you know, give yourself that time to grieve, give yourself that time to just love on your body, take care of your body, take a nap, whatever you got to do. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys offer people when they come back with things like, well, I just can't. Like, I can't even do that because I'm just so overwhelmed with that, like, guilt, which I tend to call it shame. It's not really guilt, right?
Yeah.
It's more that, like, I'm not good enough at being a mom, or I'm not good enough at doing my job, or being able to do both and doing it perfectly. I don't know what you guys have to offer.
Yeah, and I've had that as well. As moms will feel guilty for even taking time to take care of themselves, right? So now I'm going for a walk, or I'm going for a run, or I'm doing an hour of yoga to take care of me, but now I feel guilty. For me, how I approach that is to let those emotions run through you instead of continuing to shove them down. Now I feel guilty. Now I feel this. Now I feel sad. Now I feel, and then it starts to present as overwhelm. And now it's anxiety and those bigger umbrellas when there's so many emotions underneath there. If we start to just recognize that right now I feel sad, okay, just that recognition, that awareness that in this moment, I am sad. You know, my kid's birthday was canceled. This was canceled. There's a lot of things canceled, you know. It's okay to feel sad. And so for me, what I'm telling my clients is to, one, recognize that, and two, apply tapping for that. And you can, at this time, like, you don't have to tap on your face, you know, if that's, there's a lot of people struggling. Like, I can't even imagine, my heart goes out to people suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder, because I can't even imagine. I'm like, I was feeling those feelings and I don't have that disorder. I can't even imagine how difficult that must be for someone that's struggling with that, because you know, I tap on my face all the time. That's what I do. And now you're not supposed to tap on your face. And so all of those pieces, but if your hands are clean, I would recommend just saying, like, this is how I'm feeling, and tapping through that and allowing it to move through you instead of continuing to stuff down, which is really easy to do because we are trying to survive and get through our day. Right. But even taking those moments, and that can help with the, you know, being present with our kids, or being present right now, how I am with you guys, and not feeling guilty, is just allowing those emotions to go through you and saying, yes, I'm right here with you, you know. And that's the perfect part. Like, when I'm tapping, like, even though I'm feeling sad, or even though I'm feeling guilty or whatever, right here, right now, in this moment, I'm okay. So that's not the traditional way to tap, but I feel like with what we're going right now, just to bring that focus back to the here and the now, I think is really, really powerful. Yeah. How about you, Kristen, with brain spotting? You said that there are some kind of take-home stuff that people can do right now. How can you use brain spotting to help them as like a self-help tool, or if someone's watching this right now?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things, right? Because brain spotting is like this huge umbrella thing where you're basically using your body to heal itself. And another piece of that is making sure that sometimes, even if you're going to get in a calm spot, those overwhelmed feelings are going to come. So if you get in that, make sure you reach out for help. I just want to put that out there first.
Yes.
Because part of it is that relationship, right? And kind of, I call it attunement with the person. And so first things first, like, we're all going through this right now. Like, you're not alone in whatever you're feeling. And so that's not necessarily a brain spotting piece, but I wanted to kind of start with that, with what you're asking. So the premise behind brain spotting is that where you look affects how you feel. So if you take something that is, they call it activating, you might call it triggering, I call it being poked the crap out of, any of that stuff, if you're feeling it, you can even do this right now. So if I take something like my oldest being gone, right? I'll look to this side of the room and I will just see if it feels worse or if it feels better. That side tends to be my activated side. So I can feel like my heart racing a little more. Now if I look to the other side, that breath is an automatic response. I promise I'm not doing that like as a trick or anything like that. If I look over there, it calms down and my heart calms down a little bit more. So even just finding kind of that gaze spot where you feel calm can help, because it gets the parasympathetic nervous system online, which is the one that we want, right? Like when you think about a parachute, it's the one that kind of helps calm down. So that's one of them, is just using a gaze, and you can hold that there as long as you want, as long as it's calm, grounded, neutral, any of that kind of stuff. You can even pair that with what they call a body resource spot. So if you think about that activating event or whatever it might be, even if you're thinking about it in terms of like anxiety, just do a really quick body scan and see where you feel the most calm, grounded, and neutral in your body. It could be something I've heard people talk about their earlobes. I've heard people talk about the tip of their nose, a pinky toe, like anything, even if it's small, that's okay, right? Because you're just focusing on that calm feeling. A lot of people will talk about their feet, because their feet, if we're sitting, are touching the floor, right? If you're sitting, yes, exactly. If you're sitting in a chair, a lot of people will be like my butt or the back of my thighs, and you just focus on that for a little bit and kind of get you back into it. The other thing that they talk about, I'm going to call it convergence because that's easier than the full formal term for it. But brain spotting, I can use like a pointer that looks like this, but not everybody has this at home. So you can use your finger or you can use a pen, anything. And as long as you keep it about this far from your face, what you want to do is look at the tip of your finger. And then you want to bounce back and forth between this and about 10 feet away. And you just keep through it, right? So back and forth. And that breath is automatic. That's not me trying to like make myself breathe. That's just from bouncing back and forth. And you can do that as fast or as slow as you need to for about 20 to 60 seconds. And you should kind of be able to calm back down. And that's really good for like anxiety attacks, panic attacks. If though you don't have relief after about a minute or so, reach out for help because it might be something else. So but those are a lot of the brain spotting kind of things that I use with people, and I'll use those in office even when we go deeper into things because they can be overwhelming, right? We've been through a traumatic event. We kind of need some of that calm before we can observe what's happened.
Yep. Yeah, having someone create a safe space for you is really, really important if you are going through any type of, trauma. And I don't recommend people tap through anything traumatic on their own. Always reach
same
out.
thing. Yep. Same thing with brain spotting, right? Because you don't want to get stuck in that. And it can happen because when you do that, sometimes the calm will make people dip into the like, oh crap kind of stuff. So just be aware of that. But if you hold it longer, you can come back up out of it.
Yeah. And it seems like brain spotting and EFT, there's a lot of overlap. And I just want to give people a quick one that they can use too, a tool. This has really been really helpful for me in coping, and just a really quick one. And this one, you don't have to touch your face either. You have a spot that's between your pinky and your ring finger right here called the triple warmer. And it's a great spot for the part of your brain that is under attack right now. Yes. And so just tapping on that, and very similar to what Kristen was talking about with your eyes, you are just going, it's called a floor to ceiling eye roll. So you start at the floor and you just really slowly are crawling your eyes up the wall all the way to the ceiling, and doing the same thing and bringing them down really, really slowly, and remembering to breathe while you're doing that. And you can do it as many times as you need to while tapping on the point. So you're not moving your head at all. You're just moving your eyes and down. And that can kind of bring you back into the here and the now as well. So that's a helpful tool as well.
That's really interesting because that's kind of like what they would call rolling brain spotting. So you can just, you can do it like across your field of vision, and you can do it at depth too. So sometimes distance will make a difference for people on feeling better or worse. Most people feel better when it's far away because it's like the lion's out there. It's not going to attack me, right?
Yeah.
But some people, if they have attachment stuff, closer feels better. But everybody's different. It just kind of depends. And you can just roll through all of those, and you don't have to sit on all of them or one at once.
Yeah. And it's such a great point that we all, like, people say like, tapping right here feels good for me. Well, for someone else that doesn't feel good, this is their favorite point. It's just really with all of this. And like, even with Crystalynn said, like, listening to your body when it comes to when you feel tired, like always just listening to your body during this, because it gives us these amazing, amazing clues. And I love with the brain spotting that you literally you're focusing on a spot and you're just allowing whatever to come up. Like I've experienced a session with Kristen and it's pretty powerful. Just staring into a spot, like you're thinking, oh my gosh, it seems so simple, but the things that just came up just very naturally, and I allowed them to come up, and then they just left. And then I allowed them to come up, and then they just left. And it just was really, really interesting. And I think EFT works similarly too. Whoop, did we lose Kristen? She peaced out. I'm going to hit pause here. All right. So we lost Kristen for a minute, but she's back. Ding dong.
My internet kicked me off, which probably means my husband is also working from home now. So he probably just logged on and it cycles through. So
navigating through the technology world. Tap, tap, tap for me.
I was like, I don't know if you guys froze, but I did. So I'm just going to try and see. And it was like, oh, I don't have internet. That would do it.
Welcome back to the party, Kristen.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Crystalynn, do you want anything? Do you want to add to any of that?
I think like you talked about earlier, Casey, like emotional awareness and like just being aware when you're having emotions and allowing yourself to feel those. I think also in addition to that, like knowing how to shift yourself out of those emotions when you need to. Like knowing what works for you and looks different for everybody. Just like you said, tapping works differently for everybody. I think shifting your emotions and looks different for everyone. For some people, it might be, I need to reach out to a friend. I need to just go and call up my best friend and vent to her about how my husband's being annoying. Whatever it might be, at the moment.
Right.
It might be, I need to go for a run or a walk, or, okay, I can't go anywhere because I have toddlers. And so we're just going to turn on music and divert all the attention to letting our energy out and going crazy. Casey, when you get that trampoline, okay, guys, we're all heading to the trampoline. Like we have our on the trampoline today for sure. So just really having the awareness of the emotions that you're feeling. And if you're in a place to feel them, let them out. Like sit in them. That's normal. Right? And everyone is feeling this abundance of emotion. But if you aren't really able to deal with it right then and there and you need to shift yourself, like know what works for you and be aware of it and go to it and do it.
And what Crystalynn is talking about is resources, right? So I've had people make a list of 10 things that feel good for you. 10 things, write them out. I had my daughter do the same thing, write them out. 10 things right now. And that could be, for her, it was playing basketball. For her, it was calling a friend. For me, it was feeling something soft. And that might be, you're like, that's kind of strange. But like for me, if it's a blanket, it's a stuffed animal that's very comforting to me. So when I feel stress, I might just lay downstairs. I have a biomat, which has been, constant lately. But laying on that thing and having a big soft blanket is really comforting for me. And that is a great resource for me. Taking a walk, whatever you got to do, but making a list so you have that in front of you. Because when you go into that fight, flight, or freeze mode and you're just like this and you're just kind of like, I don't even know what to do right now. If that's a feeling that you have, that overwhelmed feeling, having that in front of you where you can just like, oh yeah, I've made this already when I did have a brain. And here's some things that I can pull from. And bonus, if you can find ones that you can pull from and your kid has the same thing, like those are things that you can do together and also like feel good when everyone's like cranky and yelling at each other. Let's take a time out here and
Right. It's a question I've asked a lot of my clients lately is what brings you joy?
Yes.
Different than happiness, right? Happiness is that fleeting feeling. Joy is totally different. Yeah. What a great time for all of us to try to figure that out, right? It sucks. Sorry, language.
You gotta tell me.
Like, this is how I talk in session too.
I use a lot of stronger language in that.
Well, I try to keep it professional the time, but slips out every now and then. But I lost my train of thought. But just kind of what brings you joy, finding those things, right? When you are able to kind of be in the moment, like really, really paying attention to that and paying attention to yourself. And if you can't do that, there's actually, nobody had mentioned it, so I thought I would. It's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you basically run through your senses, right? What are 5 things I can see right now? What are 4 things I can hear? What are 3 things I can feel? What are 2 things I can smell? What's 1 thing I can taste? And you can do that. You don't have to even do it out loud. Sometimes doing it out loud can be more powerful because you're speaking it, but that's another way to like ground yourself too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. Utilizing those resources right now. And like, if you're feeling guilty for taking that walk or for applying self-care, like please don't, because not only are you taking care of yourself, you're modeling that for your kids right now. Like kids today just don't have tools. They don't have ways to cope. They are really struggling right now. And so by modeling that to them, like, now is the perfect time. They're watching you, right? This is a stressful situation.
Yes.
They're watching how you handle stuff. And they're learning resilience. So that's what I'm kind of taking from this is like, we're not probably going to nail it in math and a lot of the things with homeschooling for the rest. I'm just being honest. You start word problems and I'm like, yeah. But teaching them resilience. There's an opportunity right now to teach your children resilience. And that starts with you, right? It starts with self-care. You're modeling and you're showing them how to do it. And they're going to use that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, kids are researchers. They soak up everything from the moment they're born, right?
Yep.
And just watching. So the more that we can do that stuff for ourselves, the more they're going to pick it up.
Exactly. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
The only thing I would say is that even if you aren't able to not feel guilty in the moment, like, that's okay. That's pretty normal too.
Yeah.
And I don't use the term normal lightly, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is normal? I don't know.
Everything is abnormal.
Yeah.
It's normal to not feel normal all of the time right now.
Yeah, basically. There is no normal. And I've not ever found it. And I've been counseling people for like 3 years, right? Like, there isn't one.
No, there's not. Krystalynn, any final thoughts? Anything you want to add?
I think kind of playing off of something that Kristen asked earlier, in terms of what if I feel like I just can't get anything accomplished or done. I think you're doing things, like recognizing what it is that you are doing. So if that looks like at the end of your work day, if you're working from home and at 5:00 you take a couple minutes and you write down, what did I get done today? Or if at the end of your day you acknowledge what it is that you accomplished. Last night I cleaned off my island in the kitchen and I took a picture of it because I was like, it's clean. It wasn't clean when I woke up because my toddler was already up, and it will not be clean all day today. But at the end of the day, that's one thing that I marked up as an accomplishment. And as tiny as it might be, if you can recognize those small accomplishments, it really allows you to see that you are doing things. They're not the things that you thought you'd start the day, when you started the day, you thought you'd do. They're not what was on your to-do list for this week 2 months ago. We didn't know this was going to happen. So have the grace for yourself, be nice to yourself and kind, and then recognize what it is that you are accomplishing and go back to that. Remember that you're going to look back on this time and you don't want to have those types of regrets of not just kind of enjoying some of those moments.
Yeah. And I love the point that you brought up, like, this island it's clean right now. Yep. Because I think as moms, like, especially right now, like, I'm running the dishwasher like 3 times a day. Like, it's crazy. My kitchen is pure chaos. And at the end of the day, I'm like, what did I even do? I don't even know what I did, because you're just doing it and you're on automatic, you're on autopilot. And you forget how much you did because you just are in that, you're just in that state, and it's going to get dirty 5 seconds later, and then you're just going to clean it again.
Well,
it's like the never-ending laundry, right?
Yes.
A lot of people are not used to working from home. And I'll tell you, when I moved to working from home about 6 or 7 months ago, I was hyper aware of the things that weren't clean. I was hyper aware of the laundry and all of that. So not only are you hyper aware of it, it's really in your face, but you can't control it right now. Like, you just can't. And that's okay. No one's coming to the house. Your dirty laundry can sit there. Yeah. No one's smelling your kids.
Nope. I told my daughter, I'm like, you don't need to wear deodorant for a while, because, like, who cares? Like, we don't care if you're stink. But when she goes out in public, I'm like, yeah, you probably need some deodorant. But I'm like, man, who cares now?
Doesn't matter. Nobody can
save money on deodorant now.
Right?
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your superpowers and your knowledge. And hopefully people find this to be, to know that, 1, they're not alone, and 2, just some takeaway tools that they can apply right now in their lives. So thank you so much. We hope that all of you have a wonderful day, and, just keep on trucking, ladies.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem. All right. I'm shutting her down.
Okay.